Good evening and salutations, my Why Not fans. So, in a way, I'm not too surprised that Audra chose Tucker over Kyle. When she was like, oh, just to let you know, he's not there playing you, he tried to recruit me on the side. It made sense. She's known Tucker for quite a while. She's learned a lot of stuff from him. That's practically her mentor in a way. Kyle is just somebody who, she wound up having fun with, but can realize and acknowledge that he is entitled and, you know, a trust fund baby, you know? So she chooses him. And she's like, listen, at the end of the day, I got your back, and that's just how it is. So it makes sense. At first I was like, wow, but then I was like, no, it makes sense. Um, Now, Ashley was at the house and she was thinking about the fight that she had with Tucker. And I find this to be very interesting. I like how they're doing this so far because oftentimes we have arguments with people. The way we perceive it at times can be completely different. I mean, this is a little bit more different because in her version, he yells in the face, he smashes a glass, and he throws a chair. And in his version, he pushes over a chair and he puts the drink down and he just kind of walks away. Right? It's the classic he said, she said. What I don't understand is when she went to the restaurant and she saw Tucker, and then she just sits over in a corner somewhere for a little bit, watches him the entire time, and then walks off. Like, what was even the point of you actually being there if that was the case? Your daughter owns a restaurant. You could have just went there. If you saw him and it bothered you that much, why would you continue to stay there? That made no damn sense. Just to get upset and then walk off. That was stupid. And granted, what Tucker did wasn't any better because he walked up to her and he saw that she was bothered and he even grabs her arm and like, bro, what are you doing? You're literally proving her case that you wind up being violent and scaring her. And he's more shocked, like, well, what are you talking about? I mean, how do we get to this point? You really sit there and think that I did this. And, she's like, oh, well, don't sit there and start trying to gaslight me. We have two different events, we have two different perceptions, and I'm right. I'm like, well, you're not right just because you're the problem, the issue is I don't think we're going to actually get to it. We're not going to get to sit there and see what happened. But Hirschman is saying, well, I'm right because I'm right. Well, he can sit there and say the same thing. Unless there was cameras there. Was there cameras there? We could sit there and see what really happened? No? Then we don't know who the hell is telling the truth. And this is the problem. This is one of the problems that goes on in the world. Is that he says one thing, she says something else. You know how society tends to choose. They 8 times out of 10, they will tend to sit there and side with the woman. That's just a fact. Now, that's not to sit there and say that those cases, the woman is lying, but until we actually have any proof, it's usually his side versus hers, and we're not usually given the benefit of the doubt. Just to be real. Victor, and I knew Victor was going to do this. Victor had Adam and Nick be co-CEOs since Victoria's gone. And told them to sit there and work on the project and, present it to them. So they go to the coffee shop. Nick is being dismissive. He's not really giving it a chance. He's just being very dismissive and turning any idea that Adam says down, right? So he does that, and Adam's like, "All right, so this is really how you want to sit there and play this? Like, our father gave us a task, and you're already just willing to sit there and quit." Now, granted, even before that meeting, he was already dismissive and everything, right? Don't get me wrong. Everyone played their part when it came to us not telling Adam and not even telling Summer that Jordan, a crazy sociopath, was running around on a killing spree towards the Newmans. I mean, damn, Nick, you didn't even bother to tell your own daughter. That's just, I don't know if that's a bad, I don't know if that's just being a bad character or bad storytelling, but whatever. So anyway, he was already sitting there being a dick to him before the meeting started. But then afterwards, he realized he was like, you know what, you're right. This is on me. Um, he apologizes for the way he's acting, and he does give Adam, he does sit there and listen to Adam's ideas and thinking that, listen, I'll give them a chance. They're good or whatever. They start talking and smiling and stuff. Um, and Adam was sitting there saying like, listen, we worked well before with your daughter Faith, with Sally. We can do this again. I mean, it'll be very interesting to sit there and see them actually working together. One of the really great moments that I saw last year was, Adam and Nick hug. Um, I think, the Adam lost a daughter, Avery, and he hugged, and it felt genuine. Didn't last that long, but it felt genuine. And this is something I'm gonna sit there and say. Just my little take on it. People kept sitting there saying that Nick should have stepped back and let Adam and Sally had a chance. I still, to this day, say that that's BS, right? Because if Sally really wanted to be with Adam at the time, she is this so-called force of nature. She would have found a way to make that work. But here's an idea. The conflict between those two brothers, right? Did anyone ever actually sit there and think maybe that Sally should have just kind of stepped back from both of them? You know, being in the middle of both of them. She was with Adam, and then she's going on with Nick. Isn't it to tell me that you're not helping drive a wedge between those two? I mean, yeah, they have their issues, but why be a part of that? So when people kept saying that Nick should have stepped back, maybe Sally should actually just kind of step back from both of them and let them work out their issues. And I say that because on days, you got Everett and Chad, right? Everett and Chad, outside of the Stephanie situation, seem like they get along just fine for the most part. You know, it's usually Stephanie that comes in, which she is. It's usually how Stephanie comes in, and then things start to get all effed up, right? So it just made me sit there and think about that. Now, Nikki feels that Victor is spying, is hovering and checking on her and, um, making sure that she's not drinking and stuff. Looking in her desk and say, "Oh, I need to sit there and find a pen." You need to look in her desk for that? Really? If it wasn't on the table, then most likely, like, what are you doing? So he goes in the desk, he doesn't find anything. She apparently must have like rigged some stuff in there because she was able to sit there and find a flask. She opens it, she doesn't drink. She calls her sponsor, right? Now, here's the thing about Nikki Newman. I don't like Nikki, right? I don't like her. I didn't like her from day one. I still don't like her. But alcoholism is a problem, right? And so, regardless of how I feel about the character, I can admire the fact that she did call her sponsor for help. It takes a lot of courage to sit there and admit that you can't always do things by yourself. So I give her props for that. She calls her sponsor. They talk. It's a little kind of aggressive, but whatever. They talk. Victor comes in, and Victor's like, "Oh, who's this?" And he's like, "Hey, I'm her sponsor, whatever." And he's all like, "Oh, how come I didn't know about you?" And they get to talking, whatever. And I can't tell if Victor is more just like annoyed with him or just like annoyed with her and annoyed with stuff like, "Oh, you didn't come to me. You came to." You asked this guy for help as opposed to asking me for help. Like it was some sort of ego thing or something. Um, they talked it out. Wasn't really too much of a big deal. I didn't actually expect to do this review, but I started looking at my notes and I was like, I could have just saved this for the live stream, but I was like, let's just do it now. I got time. Why not? Um, Kyle. Kyle is so. I mean, he's a lot of things. He's has an ego. He's entitled, and he feels like he's not wrong. Like he really believes that he has Tucker fooled, and Jack is like, yo, listen, you need to sit there and operate on the possibility that he could be onto you. You talk about, oh, we got to sit there and take him out, and this, that, and the third. And Jack is just trying to get Kyle to see that do not underestimate him. He is a he's rich, he's powerful, he's smart, he's cunning. You know, this is somebody who has dealt with people like that all his life. Victor Newman and whoever else before I was watching the show. So he's just not there trying to give him some words of wisdom. But Kyle's not there taking that as an insult, like, oh, I know how to sit there and take him on. What are you talking about? You don't have to. He feels like he's talking down to him instead of just, taking it lessons from his father. So I feel like Kyle was going to end up screwing up this whole thing because of his ego. And he's going to sit there and realize it afterwards, and it's just going to be too little, too late. Now, I think that's pretty much about it. But just my thoughts on Friday's episode. My thoughts on Friday's episode. We went through an hour, right? And I feel like most people were just kind of just annoyed with the fact that um, throughout an hour, just to sit there and watch the fact that Sharon wound up breaking out with Chance. I thought that was just kind of stupid, to be honest. I really did think that was just dumb. And I know that they want to sit there and put her with Nick because that's what the fans want. But it seemed like the way that she broke up with him just it seemed a little kind of out of place. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Tess just randomly singing out of nowhere. And it's not like in the beginning I was kind of annoyed because it just seemed like it just kept coming from nowhere. And granted, she can sing, and I don't think the song was bad or anything like that, but it was just like, whoa, what are you doing? Um, I think my favorite part of that episode was probably them reenacting the the marriage, the wedding, but they did it in this very sitcom way. So it was very funny and enjoyable to watch. So I can appreciate that. Um, anyway, I feel like that's pretty much about it. Can't really think of anything else, but as always, come to the live stream tonight. We'll sit there and talk about it. Give my thoughts, my opinions. If I missed anything, we'll talk about it there. Anyway, I will see you in the next video.